Hello and welcome to the Confusion Wrestling Podcast, the last bastion of independent wrestling. I'm your host, Rob Kammer, and, well, what do you want to talk about this week? I don't know. I caught some really neat wrestling. We should probably just talk about that until we got some guests lined up in the next couple of weeks or so. But, as you know, a couple of weeks ago, I had the pleasure of speaking with Marion Fontaine, pro wrestler extraordinaire and the promoter for Olde Wrestling. I so happened in our discussion to find out that Olde Wrestling is going out of their way now to really establish their YouTube channel, so I thought I would check it out to see what's going on there besides what's on IWTV, because let's face it, not everybody, has extra money to go get another streaming service and add that on to everything they got going on now. But what is usually free is YouTube. And sure enough, we have Olde Wrestling on YouTube, and they've started their own weekly program, the Wrestling Show of Shows. And this is the second episode here we're going to check out. We're going to talk about it here for a bit. But this is episode 2 of the Wrestling Show of Shows on YouTube on Olde Wrestling. YouTube.com/Olde Wrestling. And yeah, so let's talk about it. They are really putting over. This is the first ever 10-man tag team match. This has just gone crazy. I those kids are killing the business. I know that much for sure. But we are welcome to the show by Johnny Orlando. We get our opening video package. Again, he is really putting over the fact this is the first ever 10-person tag team match. The heel team has a promo. Face team both have promos, and there's just a lot of dudes everywhere. So this is pretty much a one match show, just because there's so many people in here. So let's just jump right in. 10-man tag team match. I said it 15,000 times. It is Vinny Mandelbaum. Can't read my notes. The lobbying legislators, Arthur MacArthur, Dick J. LaHart, and with them is Nasty, formerly known as Clean. They will be taking on the Shoeshine Boys, Pastor Charleston Lovewell, Shelby Wilder, and Buster Buckaroo. We got 2 Cowboys, 2 Senators, 2 Shoeshine Boys. We got a little bit of everything going on here. The ring announcer's upset because the crowd's trying to help him do his job, aka shouting out one fall. But never mind that. William Howard Taft is on commentary. And in my interview with Marion, I really put over the fact that I just love that they got a former president and former Supreme Court Justice, Chief Justice even of the Supreme Court, in with the company. And sure enough, tonight we have William Howard Taft, the Senator of Slams, if you will, joining us on commentary. So the heels get out and the ring, and Vinny Mandelbaum runs down Nasty, calling him out of shape, asking him if he's even lifted a weight since in the past year. And it turns out Nasty was supposed to be a part of this match, but since he's so out of shape and just ill-formed at this point, they're bringing in former detective, former chief of police Dick J. LaHart to replace him in this 10-man contest. In the meanwhile, so that is Nasty's going to be outside the ring. He's going to be helping out, lending moral support, if you will. In the meanwhile, we got ourselves a match. We got a fake handshake by Sonny T, and he is caught, and his shoe is removed and shined. Oh, those Shoeshine Boys always shine in shoes, whether you want them to or not. Tandem offense by said Shoeshine Boys. Another shoe is stolen off a quick tag, and you try saying stuff like that fast. I mean, I'm not the most eloquent person when I get going on here, but another shoe is stolen. Another shoe is stolen to get shoeshine, to tell you that much as well. Buster Buckaroo is tagged in, and he is going for a ride. Dick LaHart's in, and a myriad of chops to LaHart by Buckaroo. To no effect. However, what does work is Buckaroo starts raising the hand of Dick LaHart, and that fools him into thinking he's won. He's like, "Yeah, we won." Tries to get his team to cheer along, and they're just not having it. Shelby Wilder is in. He's going for a ride as well. In the meanwhile, like, Lahart still has a cigar. Like, for all the stuff that's happened to Dick Lahart throughout this match up to this point, he still has a cigar in his mouth. Wilder goes for the ride, but he is ultimately bucked off. Arthur MacArthur Vin, and he hits a modified People's Elbow for 1. Pastor Lovell's tagged in, and this is where we finally kind of like start getting a match proper, so to speak. If you're a bigger fan of the real graps, the heels start working over Pastor Lovewell. However, they got his arm on the rope, and they're just yanking on the rope. They call Nasty over to start doing the rowboat thing on the pastor's arm as well. Nasty accidentally grabs MacArthur's arm and starts rowing away at that. But they couldn't get a good tag. Pastor Lovell couldn't get a good tag off of that, so he is continuously still just beaten down by the heel team. We almost lost the match as MacArthur almost crushes the poor pastor's skull with a nasty vice script. I mean, I haven't seen one like this. Predates Great Khali, but I haven't seen one like this as a Great Khali. Pertner killed that poor man. Wilder, though, finally gets the hot tag, but the ref didn't see it, unfortunately. So there's mass confusion going on. The referee is distracted. Wilder takes a juggling club to the knee as the pastor is brought back into the ring. Wilder is incapacitated. He is carried out of the ring by Nasty and one of the shoe shines, and they announce it is now a 9-person tag team match. So I have to fault the false advertising a wee bit on this one. But 9 people is still just a crazy amount of people to have in one match. So, like, I don't know, man. I don't know what to say about it. 9 people instead of 10, it's still just wacky, and they're still killing the business. But as I said, so Nasty tries to help out. He is admonished while trying to help Wilder to the back and just brought back to the ring. Wilder is out, 9-man attraction. Lahart managed to take out like both quarters, just crashing into the turnbuckles on each side. Nasty stops Mandelbaum from using the juggling pin once again. Nasty joins the face corner to take the hot tag from Pastor Lovewell, taking out the entirety of the heel team until the legislators sneak attack Nasty from behind. Things break down until Nasty's hit with the juggling pin, and he's pinned. 1, 2, 3. I don't know what Woody's thing to say about it, because the man got hit. He got pinned after being hit with a juggling pin. Pinned by a pin, I guess. But your winners, the team of Vindy Mandelbaum, Arthur MacArthur, the lobbying legislators, and Dick J. Lahart. I guess technically with Nasty, even though he switched sides. But yeah, I don't know what I did. Maybe he gets a win and a loss for that. I'll have to talk to William Taft to see how the record books are kept off of that. But yeah, so then we get just one last reminder that, well, at the time of this podcast, it'll be tonight. If not, it would depend on when you listen to the podcast. It's probably over by now. But Friday, April 11th, the Olde Wrestling is coming to the Foundry for their next big extravaganza. So I guess if you hear this in time, go see it. Olde Wrestling's a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. The wrestling show is shows. Like, that's it. It's a 1-match card, half-hour length or so. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. Of course, I'm familiar peripherally with Olde Wrestling, and of course I've had the pleasure of speaking to Marion Fontaine about it. But yeah, so in terms of a podcast, like, it doesn't make for a great podcast because the show is half hour. It was 1 match, but like, especially since this was a 10-man tag affair, you kind of get to see the entirety of kind of like what Olde Wrestling is about in terms of like gimmicks and stylings and characters and all that sort of good stuff, even though we kind of like jump right in and don't have a great like view on like necessarily sometimes who is who and why is the guy formerly known as Clean now known as Nasty, outside of he's kind of gross looking now. But yeah, like that being said, like, I enjoyed the show. I like a lot of character work. I like encapsulated universes within my professional wrestling too. So again, this is on YouTube, at Olde Wrestling. So be sure, check that out. It was a lot of fun. And then of course, if you happen to be out Ohio way, they're working at the Foundry. They got a couple other shows coming up in the next couple of months. And then of course, if you have a subscription to IWTV, you can see like the most of the backlog on there as part of the IWTV subscription. Short episode because, well, it's hard to do a podcast that's longer than the episode of the thing you're reviewing, but whatever, man, it's cool. Stay tuned. We got some guests coming up in the next couple of weeks if everything goes according to plan. We have Lonzo the Chicano Romero coming up next week. The week after that, we have the Luminary as well. So a couple of big shows coming up. So thank you guys for giving this quick episode a listen. Stay tuned for the plugs and the best ways to support this here podcast. We're just going to have to skip the ads this week because it's too short. But yeah, in the meanwhile, we'll catch you all next week. The Confusion Wrestling Podcast is a weekly podcast that is written and performed by Rob Kammer and hosted by Spotify for podcasters. The background music for this section is Ruined by Day, performed by Alan Schroeder. If you enjoyed this podcast and would like to help support, please like, subscribe, and tell your friends, family, and enemies. Leaving a review is helpful as well, because word-of-mouth advertisement is very important for us small podcasts. My social media links can be found in the description, but Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky are at The Nova of Cass. That's TheNovaofCass, and Facebook is MLW Confusion, all one word. If you'd like to support monetarily and help upgrade my equipment, please check out my virtual tip jar at ko-fi.com/Casanova, or if you prefer more bang for your buck, go to patreon.com/Casanova, that's CASSONOVA, where for as little as $2, backers get access to the podcast early and without those pesky ads, plus other exclusive content. So join the crew that is headed up by Keith Wynn, Alan Schroeder, Chris Zach, and Elenia, and check it out. You can also find t-shirts, coffee mugs, and other merch at the Confusion Podcast store on Teespring. Also, be sure to check out the affiliate links in the description below. For business inquiries such as ads, sponsorships, and etc., please email rzkamer, Kamerer, at comcast.net. Thank you all for listening.